So I want you to imagine that you have relocated internationally and you are meeting people that have the life that once you could only dream of. They are traveling first class and business class. They live in beautiful luxury villas. They have private drivers and nannies and chefs. These are all of the things that we've gotten to experience in our life here in Bali. We have friends from all walks of life, friends who are backpacking and friends who are living simply. And then we also have friends who are really well off, friends who have retired early or are traveling around the world with their families and splitting their time between Bali and other parts of the world. Then we have friends who have just the most beautiful, beautiful, huge luxury villas that are just like out of your Pinterest board. And in this episode, I'm going to be diving into how to not compare yourself with other expats when you relocate. And so this has been something that has definitely been on my mind at times and something I've had to work at because it's sometimes hard. I think it's human nature to see what other people have and to sometimes desire it and sometimes want it, but also just knowing who you are and keeping your values and your integrity intact so that you can work toward whatever your bigger dreams are without losing hope and without losing just gratitude for where you are and how far you've already come, right? So I'm going to be talking about that in this episode. And if you don't know me, my name is Nadia. I was 35 years old when I moved from my hometown in Bermuda, a small island, to Bali, Indonesia. And we've been able to set up a really incredible life here. And we've navigated so many highs and lows as a family. And I try to talk about the real side of relocating so that it's not just the glitter and the glamour, it's the reality of what it's like when you relocate, when you move with a family and a husband and a partner, and you're trying to do the juggle of life in a different part of the world. And so the first thing that I wanted to talk about in this episode the first thing that I wanted to talk about in this episode is that understanding that everything that glitters, everything that sparkles is not gold. And what I mean by that is you don't always know how hard that person had to work. You don't always know what they had to do that maybe wasn't legitimate to get to where they are. And I would say, thankfully, that most of the people that we know who have accumulated wealth, they've done it over years, they've done it the safe way. But we've also heard kind of cautionary tales since we've moved here about people who were involved in businesses that they definitely shouldn't have been and were actually arrested or got in trouble because they were making money in a wrong way. And so when I say that all that glitters isn't gold, you have to just remember that sometimes even people that make a lot of money, that can sometimes come at a cost to their marriage or their family. Maybe they're working so hard and they are kind of prioritizing things that are not as important to you as an individual, right? And so I try to keep that in perspective because everyone's journey is different, everyone's story is different, and we have to just know who we are. We have to know what we stand for as individuals because especially in this day and age, oh my gracious, there's sometimes I've been like, maybe I should sell my feet pictures to make extra money. But I think you have to just always stay true to who you are and stay firm in your identity and who you were created to be, even when everyone else has maybe like fun things that you think would be really exciting, whether that's, like I said, traveling in first class or going to luxury hotels for staycations or different things like that. We definitely choose to live a comfortable life here, but it's definitely more of a middle class life. And because of that, we still get time with our kids on the weekends. We still have a little bit of a juggle that we have to do between myself and my husband because he works nights and I am typically helping with the morning routine and the evening routine for the kids. And so for us, it has been for sure a challenge, but we are making it work and we're trying to make small tweaks so that we can get to an even better place financially, but just personally with our family and our family balance. And so I really have learned that all that glitters is not gold. We've also had friends who were in these beautiful, beautiful villas, but we also heard that, maybe the husband had done something illegal, like a white collar crime, in order to get the money. And so I think you just have to keep it in perspective. Like, you don't know how people come into their wealth. And some people, like I said, most people do it legitimately. They work really hard, they save, they sacrifice, they maybe even inherit wealth. But just know that your story is different, and that as long as you continue to walk your path, there is definitely a way that you can continue to just make those smart financial decisions and grow that wealth over time, right? It's not an overnight thing. There's very few get rich quick schemes that work for many people. Sometimes people get lucky, but it doesn't always work for many people. And so just continuing on your path, making smart financial decisions, and just saving and living below your means. I think those are things that can work for all of us, no matter where we are in the world, but especially when you relocate and you are seeing other foreigners that are living these incredible lives. I think there are some places in the world, like Dubai, where it's just so in your face, like the luxury brands and the cars and all of these fancy things. And thankfully, it's a lot more humble, it's a lot more simple in Bali. The great thing is some of the really lovely people that we've met that do have money, some of them are just actually really good people and down-to-earth people, and they don't value that. They care about other things. They want to spend time with their family, their kids. And so it's definitely a whole gamut of people that we've met with lots of different stories. And so just remembering who you are and your values, I think, is so, so important. Another thing that I've learned, when sometimes we get into a pattern of seeing people that are living these really beautiful lives, they get to travel a lot more than we do, or they get to give their kids a different type of life than we do. I think one thing that has really helped me is to remember that I want to, as a mom, as a partner, I want to teach my children values and not just give them stuff. And so sometimes even me and my husband, we can get carried away with this because it's so cheap in this part of the world to like just give them the candy, to give them the toys. Like, we can go to a shop and get toys for like, $10. They're usually cheap toys. They usually fall apart within like a day or two or a week max. But, it's easy to just keep giving them stuff. And what I truly believe as a parent, and what we're working on trying to get better at, is remembering that it's about the values that you instill in them that are going to last way longer than that cheap toy or that even expensive toy. It's going to fade. They're going to be interested in it for 5 minutes and then not interested in it for the rest of, the month. And so it's really, really important that you teach them values, to know what you believe in and what you stand for as a family, and to continue to talk those through with them, and to teach them, and to take them, if you're someone that believes in a certain religion, to take them to church or temple or mosque so that they can practice and have that sense of identity and understanding of who God is. And so that's been really important to me and my husband. We've thankfully found a church here this year that we've gotten really serious at attending. And once our visitors are no longer here, we look forward to going back and just spending more time at church and introducing our children to things that we believe in, that we think are important for them to navigate the highs and lows of life, right? Having that strong faith, or even just knowing who God is and how they can turn to Him if they ever need help, or even when they don't need help, but even when they're just, in a season of life where they're seeking direction or answers, to have that. That's really important to us. Another thing that's been really, really helpful for me is to remember that I am running my own race and I am in my own lane. I always remember this. I don't know if it was a meme on Instagram or just a picture that you see, but it's a picture of swimmers, and they're in their own lanes, and there's one swimmer who's neck and neck with the one beside him. But instead of focusing on his lane and winning his race, he's looking next to him, in the lane next to him, to see the competitor beside him, to see how far ahead they are. And they're like neck and neck. And because that person took that time to veer away from their race and their lane, they lose that couple seconds they need to win the race. And it's just such a good illustration for why it's so important in life for us not to just focus or be preoccupied on what other people have and the life that they're living and the track that they're on, because we all have a different race and we all have our own story to tell. And I think that's the exciting thing, and also the thing that challenges us, because we compare as humans. We sometimes feel jealousy. We sometimes feel like we're behind. We sometimes tell ourselves these stories about our worth and our value. I failed. I can't get back up. I don't have the job that I want. I don't have the career that I want. And we can start to live in this place of regret, and we can start to live in this place of just comparison to what other people have and not being grateful for what we do have. And so I'm talking to myself here as well, because I get this way all the time. And I have to remind myself that God is writing a story that's unique and special in my life. And it's going to look very different from other people around me. I have this incredible mentor, and she's a mentor to me, but she's actually younger than me. And sometimes, like, I get so inspired by seeing all of the things that she's built, all of the ways that she's grown her career and her finances and her life to be just such a beautiful life. And I would say most of the time I'm just in a space of awe and inspiration. And then even yesterday, I was kind of, for some reason, like, that can never be me. I was starting to internalize it and feel like it disqualified me, because I'm just not as charismatic or not as bubbly or not as whatever. And I think that we can get this way as women, especially. And there's so many ways that we can do it. We can beat ourselves up over the fact that we don't have as much financial stability, or we don't have as much career growth, or we don't have a partner, or we don't have kids, or there's so many things that, depending on what the desires of our heart are, that we can compare. And what I'm realizing, and what I'm going to continue to remind myself of until my mind is renewed and that I have this, complete healthy outlook on things, is that we all have our own race, and we all have our own journey, and we all have our different timelines in life, right? Some people find love at 40, some people find love at 60, some people start a family in their 40s. Everyone's timeline is different. And I actually have seen these stats that say the average woman has a career pivot at age 39. The average woman doesn't become an entrepreneur until age 42. There's all these things that we think are too late, and we've missed the boat, and we screwed up our chance, and we live in the space of regret. And just shifting that so that we can remember, oh my gosh, look how far I've come already. I relocated with my family. We're living this beautiful life, this simple, beautiful life. And we're happy. We're living in a place where we have so many beautiful, fun memories and incredible moments that we have together. And just literally running my own race. Like, of course I want to grow in my career. Of course I want to impact people. Of course I want to build greater community. But just understanding that nothing was built in a day. There's a process to this stuff, and you have to go through the journey, but not to give up. Run your own race, stay focused on what you're trying to build and create, and don't compare yourself to anyone else. And so that definitely goes for the expat scene here, and just remembering that what you have is beautiful, and you literally once prayed for exactly where you are right now. You once were so desperate to get there. I know I was. I had prayed, and I had hoped, and I had wanted to relocate for 10 years. It was not something that happened overnight for us. And I know that some people can do it much, much quicker, but for us, it was something that I had prayed on, I had waited on. I wasn't in a desperate situation to leave, in the sense of we had jobs, we had a decent life, we had our family and friends around us. I just knew I wasn't where I wanted to be forever. I just knew that this place was slowly dimming my light. I just knew that I was struggling to find my tribe of aligned travelers and people who were pushing and wanted more from life other than just a very mundane existence of 9 to 5 and go home and watch TV and repeat and then retire. I just knew that I had something more, and there was a bigger story I wanted to write. And so I'm so grateful, and I just have to remind myself sometimes that this is exactly what I prayed for. This is exactly what I dreamed of for so long, and I'm living it. and I cannot rush ahead and fast forward to just get to the next place, right? So that's where I am now. I'm in a place where I'm just trying to remind myself of how grateful I am to be where I am, to have relocated with my family, to be in a place where I feel safe and where I feel like I can thrive and where I feel like there's so much opportunity for self-care and growth and reflection. And so I think that we have to just remind ourselves sometimes in all seasons, whether we're back home or we've found the place that we want to live and relocate to, is just that lesson of being grateful for where we are while also being hopeful for where we're going to get to in the future. So I hope that you liked this episode. If you're someone who is interested in relocating and is dreaming of moving to another country with your family, if you have questions, I really do encourage you to shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions and to point you toward my resources that I have that are available for women that are interested in relocating with their family. So I'm excited to serve you. You can also leave a comment below and I'm happy to answer in a future video. So that's it for now. I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.